Okay. Welcome to day 4. Today, I wanted to make Sloaneybux. Proof that you don't need to spend money to be thoughtful. I mean, some people will disagree, but I'm it's a thought that counts, sentimental type of individual. So, I wanted to make something called Sloaneybux, because I'm Sloaney. And I have these cute little envelopes from Daiso. And yeah, I wanted to make these for we'll see how many I make. I think I'll make one for now. So one for my friend, and just to be like a dollar bill sort of, except this isn't a dollar bill shaped. I'm using the top of this delicious incense box. And yeah, we'll see how I design it. But the friend this is for will appreciate it. But yeah, I'm trying to figure out, I'm like drawing myself. It's obviously like funny too. Like this is really silly. Sloaneybux. I realize every time I doodle, I always forget to draw brows too. And then I draw them in, and then it looks like it's like too much. Maybe. Yeah, it just doesn't look right every time I draw a brow in a doodle. But then if I don't draw it, I look at it really closely and I'm like, well, now it looks weird because it looks like I'm browless. Just can't win. But see. All right. I think that'll be the front and the back. All right. Sloaneybux. You know what? Oop. Oh well. This is against a glass cup right now. I'll do block letters. I'll make it fancy. Sloaneybux. I don't know, I feel like I can stretch this to make this like anti-capitalist in a way, where it's like people only value, well, not everyone, but generally speaking, value is what is, money is valued as currency, but we spend so many other things besides currency. Like love is so valuable, and this shouldn't be seen in like I don't want to like equate love to money. I feel like the point I'm trying to make is that there's a lot of love that is taken for granted and goes unaccounted for, and like money seems to be the only thing that is like, I really don't know how to phrase this. Whatever, I'll just keep drawing. Sloaneybux. You know what? Gonna go over 5 minutes again. Not as bad as yesterday, but it's okay, because this is really just supposed to be kind of like an icebreaker, warm-up thing for filming, just to get used to filming. But yeah, if there's anybody like, I guess relatively young, well, where you were there in like the earlier YouTube days, did you also just really want to make a YouTube channel when you were a kid, but you were like way too nervous to make it? And like nervous, but like understandably so, because it's really intimidating being on the internet. For me, I was in middle school, and my like a lot of middle schoolers, I didn't have super high self-esteem, so I was just really like scared to be visible on the internet and to have my face be seen by like strangers. And there's something kind of like, it's like almost inner child work for me to be making YouTube videos and just to release like, oh, I need to look like this YouTuber, whatever YouTuber. It is really funny though, because I wanted to be a beauty guru when I was in middle school, which is just not what I want anymore. I'll say that much. But okay, I think I'm erasing the heart around my face. I don't know, it's just really sweet. I wish I could hang out with middle school me and just be like, you're doing fine, dude. You're doing fine, don't stress. Okay, this is what I have. Maybe I'll do a cloud around the face. I just want to write like, you are loved on the bottom. We have Sloaneybux there. Yeah, you are loved. Okay. What was I saying? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I do miss a lot about like the early YouTube days, as I'm sure a lot of people do. Like when there weren't ads, specifically the monetization rules where people could like, it's not even just cussing. It's like people could talk about anything, and as long as people were resonating with it, you could get paid for it. I mean, I don't know if people are getting paid more now than they were later, but yeah, it's even like tarot readings. Like I'll be watching a tarot reading and they'll pull out the Lovers, which depicts Adam and Eve, and they're like naked, and they're like, oh, I have to cover this up. It's just like ridiculous to me. Is that stuff all AI? Has it just been AI the whole time? I don't know. AI is like really ramping up. It's really nuts to me, because I feel like a lot of people were really skeptical of it for a long time, and like a lot of media was making like AI horror. Not like full-on horror maybe, but like Black Mirror, that movie Her with Scarlett Johansson as the computer. I just feel like there's been so many like warnings of like, be careful about AI, and then like, I don't know, it just seemed like this year everyone was like, we don't care. And it's just so strange, because I feel like some of the things being made right now are things that were created in Black Mirror. Like, it's really freaky. And I mean, I know everyone's talking about AI right now, but I've just had so many friends that will send me something made from AI, and I'm like, when did we all decide we weren't scared of AI? I know I probably have been using, like, I guess the phone uses a lot of AI, and like I said, YouTube, algorithms. Is that AI? Am I just like saying everything's AI when it's not? I'm sure there's specificities between the different types of programming, coding. See, I don't know. I don't major in that. Ooh, I'll put a rainbow in the background. Yeah, we'll do a rainbow. It's gonna be a little cramped, but it's okay. I looked up the dimensions of $1, and it was like 6.14 inches times 2.61 inches. It wasn't that, it was something just as ridiculous. Because I wanted to make this dollar sized, and I looked at that, and I was like, I'm not doing that. Because I want to make more than one of these, and to have to measure that out every time, I don't even think my ruler would be able to be that accurate. Like, it would have to be an estimate every time. But that's so ridiculous. And you know what? I'm sure they did that on purpose, because so that dollars would be more challenging to reproduce and like forge. But God, that's just like stupid. Like I know in the US it's not the metric system, but whatever what's it called? Oh my God, the standard, no. Wow, this is wild. This is what happens when you leave college. You just like don't know things anymore. Let me see. No, I guess I have to use a pen so it doesn't bleed through. This one dries quick. Yeah, it's like US is already so unique in many ways. Like trying to be special. And then now their dollar is this ridiculous dimension. Although I have to wonder if the currency of other countries, oh my God, if other countries is also just absurd and ridiculous, because it could be, and again, it would make sense because they don't want people to forge. You ever just say a word so many times that it doesn't sound real? I was making the thumbnail for the video yesterday, the woo-woo reviews, and I was trying out different like formats, and I was like, what if I made the border say episode, like over and over, episode 1. I obviously didn't go with that, but I just wrote episode a bunch of times, and then looked at it and was like, this word doesn't even look real. Like, it looked so weird. I don't know if English is just weird, and when you take a moment to like really think about words and letters, it just looks strange. But that was the experience I was having. It was just really weird. But that's definitely happened to me before. Or it even happens when you say a word enough times. You're like, is this word even real? Yeah. I really want to learn another language though. It just takes a lot of, like, you need to commit to it. You can't half-ass learn a new language. I mean, you can, but I really feel like I'm someone that would need the repetition, which is probably most people. But I think now that I've just been really trying to let myself not feel like I'm too old to learn how to do things, which it's like, obviously, I mean, it depends on what age you are watching this video, but I know a lot of like millennials, and when I say things like, oh, I feel like I'm too old to learn stuff, they always look at me like I have 3 heads, as they should. Like, and I mean, if a millennial said that to me, I would look at them like they're nuts too, because you're really never too old to learn things. But it just feels that way because there's this pressure to be good at the things that you're learning, but you don't need to be. Like, let yourself be bad at things. And I know there are people on YouTube already advocating for this, but I feel like there are people who are really good at just existing in that space where they're able to be bad at things, but then you watch them get good over time, and then it's almost like this, wow, like, I can't be bad at something for a long time. And it's like, you can do something that you like doing and never get good at it. Although I really don't think that's true, because you're always going to get better if you're doing something consistently. But the way ADHD works is that, at least for me, but this applies to a lot of people with ADHD, is that you can only have sustained interest and like commitment in things that genuinely interest you. Because if they don't interest you, you just can't do them for long periods of time. You can't stick with it. Or you can, but it's like a really, really big struggle. And this is one of those instances where I think everyone, like people without ADHD, can learn from people with ADHD, or just like, the society we live in is based on, I mean, there's so many layers to this, but it's based on neurotypical people, so people without ADHD. I still don't even know exactly what neurotypical means. I'm like, I'd like to see the brain differences, like an MRI. Maybe it's just a quick Google search. But, yeah, there's just so many things that it's like, if the world was designed for people, for neurodivergent people, for people with ADHD, specifically as I guess what I'm talking about in this instance, like, everyone would benefit. And this is the whole thing with, like, disability activism, is that when accommodations are made for people with disabilities, I'm talking about disabilities very widely now too. Some people recognize ADHD as a disability, and that feels empowering for them. Some people don't. But when the world is built for people with disabilities, everyone benefits. The biggest example I've seen is this wonderful, beautiful graphic. I took this disability, what was the name of the class in college? It's called The Politics of Care. And I'm pretty sure it was in this class where we saw this graphic, and it was one of these, like, ramps. I think it was like a curb, and you know how curbs will have, like, that dip in it where, like, you don't need to go over a bump to go down. So I think it's designed for people in wheelchairs, but they were showing pictures of, like, a mom with her child in a stroller, like, using it, or someone with, like, a shopping cart using it. And it was just such a wonderful infographic. I'm wondering if I've talked about this before, because I have referenced this before, but maybe I was just sending a voice memo to someone. But people who don't have that disability, like people who don't use a wheelchair, are still benefiting from this accommodation for that, like, on the surface is specifically designed for people in wheelchairs. And that just applies to so many things, where I just have so many gripes with the way that higher education, I mean, I guess, what's it called, lower education, the way high school and middle school too, just the way education in general is set up. I mean, there's so many flaws down to the content that we're learning, but the structure is not conducive for someone with my type of brain and people who have similar brains to me, I guess, people who are also neurodivergent. And I had accommodations in college to, like, turn in stuff late, or some people would have it where they could have more time for tests. I personally just rushed on all my tests, so I was fine without having that one. What else? You were able to miss certain days of class and not be penalized for it. But just the structure of deadlines, it's just so ingrained into the structure of education that people just don't. I'm trying to think of any professor I had that didn't use that. The best class I ever had was, oh my god, what was it called? It was this ethnic studies class on dreams and love that I talk about to anyone who will listen and give me the time of day, because it's the best class I ever took in college. And the only two assignments we had, like our midterm and our final, we had like a dream journal too, but that was like chill. Like, that was beautiful. And it was like an effort that counts. It wasn't grading us on the content. It was just like, did you put effort into the prompt? But our midterm was an art project, and our final was too. And there was a written statement. It was like 2 pages, I'm pretty sure. And I think it was double spaced. Like, it was nothing. But she was just testing to make sure that we learned. And it just bothers me that that is not the priority in higher education, that the priority is, I hate that I don't remember the things I learned. Like, I have a huge issue with that, because it feels like you're performing the illusion of being a student and like being, oh god, in learning. But it doesn't actually matter whether you learn. It's just like, oh, did you appear to learn in this way that we have established is the correct way? And I just hate that. I just hate that I went to college and I feel like I don't remember what I learned. And I mean, part of it is just practice. It's like if you don't practice things, you're not going to. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Let me erase real gently. Like if you don't practice something, you're not going to remember it. It just feels tragic to me. Okay. All right. Let's color in the Sloaneybux. And then I'll bring this video to a close. Ooh, I mean, I could make it, I'll make it green on the back and pink on the front. Alright, I guess I got a sharpen. Yeah, does anyone make homemade cards anymore? I used to only make homemade cards as a kid, like for my parents on their birthdays, maybe even for Christmas. It's just cute having a homemade card. I remember I figured out how to make a flip card where I'd like cut a little tab when I fold it over and like glue something on the front, and I thought it was revolutionary. Or maybe it's because I always saw cards like that, like if we went to like Barnes & Noble, and they were always like ridiculously expensive. I mean, I think they were like $12, so maybe that's the price of a normal card now because inflation. But oh, I was gonna color this side green, whatever. Yeah, I don't know, it's sad how, I mean, this doesn't apply to everyone, but for me, my creativity definitely felt like it was, not quenched. What's the opposite of quenched? Parched? Drained? Like as a kid, I would just create all the time. I don't really know exactly what happened. You know, it's one of those instances where you're like, when did I stop doing that? Because it's never this act of like, I'm gonna stop doing this and never do it again. It just happens, and it's just so, it's so tragic. It's so tragic how that happens. Yeah. Shout out to younger me. You are amazing. And I'm just such a huge advocate for inner child work. You can tell by every video on my channel. Let yourself be a kid. Let yourself be silly. Just think, the longer you stay disconnected from that part of you, like you can always choose to connect to it at any point, but you definitely, it's more of like you kind of forget, you just forget more and more what it feels like, and it feels more like foreign to connect to that part of yourself where you don't even remember how to do it. And it just, oh, it's so sad because that part of you is always within you, and it's just waiting to be heard and listened to. And I don't know, I'm curious if people will talk about your shadow side. I think your inner child can count as part of your shadow side, because your shadow side is just the parts of you that you aren't really in awareness of, or you're not like, I'm trying to figure out, are they like fully in your unconscious, or they're in your subconscious? Some Freudian enthusiast knows, but the way your shadow side works, from what I understand, is that it'll like kind of pop out after being suppressed for a long time. It'll pop out in certain ways. And you'll be like, oh my god, what's that? And then like suppress it immediately if you don't understand what's happening. And I'm pretty sure the inner child is part of that. I mean, probably more so the parts of you as a child that you felt like weren't okay. So it can be like anger and sadness, but I think it also could be other things too. And what point am I trying to make with this? I don't even know. This is what happens when I'm doing multiple things at the same time. Ooh. See, this is why I wanted to film this too, because I was like, can I finish this? Can I make it through? I can. I think I'm just gonna color this whole side green though. Listen, guys. It is the thought that counts. Like, really, it is the thought that counts. Because I had this friend who sent me a letter, and it was like in this envelope, and they like, it was on their like class notes for their philosophy class. And it was like folded up, not even in like a perfect square. It was like kind of chaotically folded. And yeah, it was just such a chaotic way of packaging the letter, but I actually treasure it so much because I just thought it was so sweet, and it was so them. It was just so genuine. They're like, I don't need to make this fancy. The point is that I love you and I care about you. And I just adored it. I literally hung it on my wall. I'm shaking. Yeah, I just do this weird thing where like, even when I send a letter, I'll write everything super neatly and like try to make it perfect, and it's like, it really doesn't matter actually. Like, obviously you want to put a little bit of thought, but if you're putting thought into it and the message is super sweet, like this. Wait, let me cut off this real quick. It is the thought that counts. I think that is the point I'm trying to make. Okay, this is "You are loved." That's me. Ooh. And then the back says Sloaneybux. Okay. And that is day 4.